off, man. That wouldn't look good at all. Let's put the cave so that it donuts from here. I like the idea of a donut cave. From, say, about here to here.
Right.
And then, right in here, we put a waterfall. Yeah. So that you have a cave that goes back behind the waterfall. So this is our waterfall. And this is our cave, because we need that. And then, if you guys remember, see, this is all kind of branching off from our third-person character setup.
Right.
And one of the coolest things, or maybe not the coolest thing, but one of the coolest things of our third-person character setup was creating our climbing system.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the pièce de résistance. It allowed us to take our standard run around, jump, and do basic things, and just really drive it into a new place.
Right.
I loved it.
All right. When we first started this, it's like, what have we not seen anybody do yet in Unity?
Yeah.
And at that time, it's like, nobody's done climbing yet.
Or at least nobody's shown you how.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there are games, all kinds of games, where you climb or you jump or you do ninja kicks or throw shuriken or stuff that we don't even have in our game.
Right.
But
nobody showed you how to do it.
I don't remember any training videos showing you how to do that, so that's one of the things we wanted to cover. So, with that in mind, it would be nice if we had some things that our character could climb. Some sort of ledges where she could be standing there and she could say, I'm going to climb that, and then climb up, stand up here, and do some stuff. So what we're going to do is take the outer ledges, or the outer ridge of our crater, and we're going to create some elevated tiers. So I have one tier here, and maybe another tier here, and then another tier maybe out here. So it just kind of spirals around, getting higher and higher. So this would be like tier 1, and then tier 2, and tier 3, possibly even all the way up to like a tier 4 by the time we get up here.
Right, you need the cutout for the waterfall.
Oh, that's true, that's true. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. So we could bring the waterfall out a little bit.
Yep.
And see, these are kind of things where you might not know until you actually try things out. And it's like, if you're thinking, oh, well, I could never draw that in a way that I know what it looks like, well, this is where you fall back on maybe, can you rough it out in Maya?
Right.
And what do you need to rough this out in Maya? You could do it with, take a cylinder, cut the top off it. Great. You now have an instant crater.
Yep.
Grab some blocks. Seriously, just take some cubes, scale them up, and now you have some tiers. It gives you something to rotate around and start getting your brain into the mode it needs to be in.
Right. And
so, hang on, just real quick. So by doing this, we go from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3. We can take the cave around out here to tier 4, which will kind of be adjacent to our temple. It gives us a way to go back behind the waterfall, which is kind of cool. And then from our waterfall, of course, waterfalls never just fall off into oblivion. We can come down and have like a little pond of some sort. And then we can have little trees and rocks and things because they're cool and everybody loves to see trees and stuff in terrain. And that's it, man. I mean, we could take this and embellish it however we wanted to. We could say, all right, the temple is going to have this rotunda back here and inside the temple is going to do this. Or you could break the whole drawing off and have a whole nother drawing that was a floor plan to the temple. However you want to do it. All I want to do is just stress the importance of deciding what you want to do beforehand, because everything we've been sketching was so much faster, even if you're not good at it. Yeah. It's so much faster to do it now and figure out what it's going to be before you even touch Unity. You saw, like, right there, I was trying to put down an idea, and Lee was like, no, we want to make sure that the cave goes on either side of the waterfall, or make sure that your tiers get out of the way for the waterfall. It's like, okay, great. Get out the eraser, sketch in the new idea, and it doesn't look that gorgeous. But it makes sense to us, and it makes sense to you because you watched me draw it, and that's all that needs to happen. Something to help you move forward so that when you get confused, and it's going to happen sooner or later, be like, I don't really know what to do here. You can go back to your plan, be like, all right, well, let's go back to the basics. What did we really want here? We wanted a natural setting. We wanted the crater, some rocks and trees. I could probably fix this by bringing in some more rocks and kind of piling them up in this corner. It helps. It helps the creative process. And I think for a lot of people who are getting into this for the first time, they're so excited. And I understand why, because this stuff is so cool. I mean, everybody wants to make games, right? It's so cool, though, that you don't want to get bogged down with the planning process. But don't let yourself fall into the mentality that games are quick and easy, or that they even should be. There is no make good game button, and
Right.
making a good game requires a plan.
Right, and the nice thing about having a plan, especially when you're talking about a game level or a whole game in itself, is then you plan, you add what you need to make your plan happen.
Right.
Instead of taking everything you can possibly find, throwing it all in, and then find that because you have every bell and whistle that you could possibly throw at your game, it doesn't run very well at all.
It either doesn't run well or it's lost its focus.
Right, it's no cohesion to it.
Yeah, I can't count the number of games that I've played on popular consoles, even named brand titles that I'm not going to go into, where it really feels like some things were added in because somebody somewhere along the way just thought they were cool, but they didn't really fit in, and they kind of take away from the game. There is a point where it's like, okay, we're doing our natural setting. We know we've got this kind of spooky, abandoned, strange, alien-like temple. Sure, that's a little contrived. But at some point, if we're like, dude, there should be like these robot construction droids that are marching around, picking up stones and beating each other up with them like Rock'em Sock'em robots. And it's like, yeah, that would be really cool, but it doesn't fit in with the theme. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
And having a plan, talking about these things beforehand, helps it when one of your co-programmers or co-workers comes in with this great idea. You can say, all right, how does that fit into our plan? Does it augment our plan, or does it detract from it?
Right. A side note, though, a giant mechanical samurai with a chain gun will fit in any game.
I agree, really. I mean, I'd like to argue that point, but I mean, really, if anything falls out of whack, or you're just confused, you don't know where to go, consider a giant robot samurai with a chain gun. It seems to work great in films. Anyway, that is all I wanted to talk about here. Again, I realize this is a rhetorical video. I realize some of you are probably watching this either going, duh, or you're just sitting there going, like, can we please get to Unity now? Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to skip this, and I didn't want it to be something where I just start off in Unity and go, oh yeah, hey, make sure you got a plan before you start going, because this is important, and it's easy to overlook. And if you're half as excited to do this stuff as I am, it's really easy to overlook because you just want to jump into Unity and make a game that you can run around in. But take the time. Take the time to think about it, to talk about it, discuss it with your friends, get input on your plan before you even get started, and find out what people are going to like and not like. And if you want, I mean, I'm fine with you making games that you want to play. Design a game to say, I built it this way because I like it. But me for one, I don't think you should work completely in a vacuum. You can take that philosophy or not, as you like. Either way, even if you're going to work all by yourself, have a plan. Mm-hmm. I've beaten that horse to death. Now, let's go ahead and move on into Unity. And in the next video, we're going to start creating this environment. Now, I will kind of throw this out. Some of the things that we're going to be putting in, we have predetermined, we've pre-constructed them in Maya, first off. Mm-hmm. And we did exactly what we mentioned here, where we went into Maya and we roughed out the entire level.
Right, we did the paper drawing, go, okay, how about all this? Yeah, that's good. Then we brought it in Maya because what you see on paper and then what you bring into Maya and start scaling everything together, it gives you a sense of how big that level needs to be.
And while we're, just for the sake of speed and getting through with our game, we're not going to be jumping into Maya and going through that process specifically. We are going to bring in those assets using the positions they were in Maya. So we'll be building our terrain up from those locations. You may not always get the opportunity to work this way.
Right.
You might go in just knowing generally, well, I know I need a cave and I know I need a temple, so let's just paint in a general area where where those will be. I'll drop them in, and then we'll edit the terrain around them, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's going to be the way you work a pretty good chunk of the time. But it is possible just as well that, if you're building a city street and you're going to have a lot of objects that are dependent on each other's locations, you might be bringing in one entire prefab that has several different objects that are already right where they need to be, and you're going to be designing elements and building them up so that they match that. It's just a question of which comes first, and the horse or the carriage, and it all depends on workflow. Anyway, that will wrap things up for this video, and in the next video we'll take a look at starting out our terrain creation process. Thanks a lot for watching.